everyone, and welcome back to the Hazardous Artist Series, episode 17, Dank Souls. We are going to continue on this lovely journey of the cutesy animal series with the mouse, but that is not the topic I want to talk about today. The topic I want to talk about today is Dark Souls, because Ken got me into Dark Souls 3 and now I can't get out of it. So, let me talk to you guys about my experiences as a completely new player to the whole franchise. I've only played Dark Souls 3. Ken and his buddy Delar have played Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, and so they're pretty pro at it, and so they helped me get through my first run through of the game, which if you think is cheating, it is and it isn't. And I say that because the bosses are absolutely just raunchy, to say the least. They can be quite difficult depending on the boss that you're fighting, or they can be relatively easy depending on the boss that you are fighting. And it took me, my first try with the very first boss, 4 tries. Because with Dark Souls, it is a requirement that you die in this game. This game is where everybody dies. Everybody dies. And I don't think I know anybody except for maybe one really pro player who's actually beaten the game without dying. And I don't know if that's even true or if that's a myth. So Dark Souls is definitely one of those games where you have to die at least once just to be like part of the community. And it's actually quite fun. It can be frustrating. I don't know how many of you are like me who rage so hard at these types of games, but I rage so hard at these types of games. But in a way, it's also really fun, especially when I have Ken and Delar playing with me, because then we joke and we laugh, and I watch Ken and his buddy just do new moves that either fail or actually work really well, and it's fascinating to watch them play. And then they take my kills, and I'm really upset because I'm trying to practice, and they're over here like, don't worry, Mel, we got rid of all of them for you. I'm like, oh, thanks, I guess. But Dark Souls 3 is quite hard, quite difficult, but it's actually a pretty fun game. There is a large community for it. There are a lot of people who play this game, and so there is a player versus player, aka PvP, involved in this game called invading. And invading is quite an interesting little concept. So you use an item to invade a random world, any other player, human player's world, and you try to kill them. And when you are invading other people's worlds, the monsters or mobs don't attack the invader. So there are different techniques that a lot of invaders use. And some of them are good and some of them are kind of cheesy for, when you're trying to defend yourself. So the invader will either actually want to fight you and just you alone, which I think those are my favorite players because they're usually more respectful than other invaders. And that's a sort of like rival bond that you have when these types of invaders come in. And then you have the other invaders who use the mobs to attack you. So when I say that, they bait you into other monsters in the game so that you have to fight the mobs and the invader all at the same time. And it's I don't like those types of invaders. And if you're lucky, you're holding the item that when you use the item, the other mobs will actually attack the invader for a very short temporary amount of time. And that's actually funny if you are in areas where the mobs are just absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know how to put that. There's some areas where you have a bunch of bowmen, and then some areas where you have really, really quick mobs, and then some areas where you have sorcerer mobs, and they shoot fireballs or whatever at you, and yeah, so when you're in those areas and an invader comes in and they're trying to bait you, it's a really good idea to have this particular item on you to use for that. So I always try to carry one. But so invading is actually quite interesting. The people who invade are either really rude, they bait you, or they're actually really respectful. And then there are others who absolutely are chill, won't attack you at all, may even help you get through the area. And I think this particular franchise, and you can comment below on whether or not you agree or disagree, but this particular franchise has a relatively respectful community. And I mean, when I first started playing, like the first couple weeks, we've had some really rude invaders, which kind of sucks. And then we've had a few who are actually really fun to be with. And then the best part about this community, because it's not just invading, but you can summon other people to help. Like I said, I had Ken and Dolar help me, and the way to do that is I summon them in from their world to my world, and they come in as quote unquote phantoms. And it's really fun because when you can summon in random people, strangers, or you can summon in your friends with a password match system, which I think, by the way, that is a really good mechanic to have in the game, especially if all you want to do is play with your friends. And if you put down your summon sign, you don't want to be summoned into another world if you're trying to get into your friend's world. So the password matching is actually a really good mechanic in the game. I really love that mechanic. So, but it's always fun to summon in strangers as well, because the community that actually come in as phantoms to help you is so respectful, so good. There's no trolling, and there's not really a chat, so they can't even have the opportunity to troll you. Like if you were doing a boss fight and you died like right in the first few seconds of the boss fight with your phantoms, they can't go in and say, "Oh my god, you're such a bad player," because it doesn't exist. So they have reactions. Dark Souls does have reactions, and they have these call out shouts that you can do. Dolor has one, and it's always "Hey!" So that's could get annoying, but it's pretty funny when he uses it all the time. But these reactions, these other reactions, these non-verbal reactions are like bowing, clapping, pointing, and sitting. Yeah, there's a couple of the sitting ones that make me laugh. So there's reactions you can use, and when you summon players, strangers, you do a reaction. You either bow or you do like some exclamatory non-verbal reaction, and those are always fun. And then there's this thing that the community does where you just wiggle your sword or your shield as a gesture of goodwill and in the community jolly cooperation. So it's always fun to summon in strangers every once in a while to help you with a boss fight, because it can be funny and it can be a good experience for you. And sometimes the player will actually message you on your system, whether it be on the PS4, not necessarily PC. I don't know how PC works. So sometimes they'll message you on PS4 and request to be friends, and then you two can help each other out in Dark Souls after that. And it's pretty cool. I like it. The community is great. So outside of the community and other players, let me talk to you about the game itself. So the game is actually interesting. The type of genre for it, I would characterize it as horror, but the actual genre of the game is an action dungeon crawling RPG. And the monsters in this game, they're quite creepy, quite creepy, and I'm actually interested to know where their inspiration for their boss creations and mob creations came from. But the game is quite difficult because there's a lot of dodging that is required in this game, and a lot of strategy that goes into this game, and not just like long-term strategy. It has to be quick strategy, so you have to be able to observe other monsters or boss moves and know how they react when they use these moves, so that you can dodge effectively, know when to attack and kill. And that's something I'm still trying to get used to. And just talking about this makes me want to play again. So, let me talk to you about some of my favorite and least favorite things involving this game. So my favorite boss of this game is the dancer. And it makes Ken groan because he said, "Yeah, that would be your favorite boss." and honestly, it's a really hard boss because she's very quick. The dancer is super quick. She does a lot of area of impact attacks, so AoEs that just 360 her body. So you could be behind her and still be attacked. And the reason why I like her so much is because the dancer, when she attacks, looks like she's actually dancing, and she's very quick about it too. So I like that aspect. They put a lot of diversity in their moves and their bosses in Dark Souls 3, and it's quite entertaining to get to know each boss move sets and determine how to fight. But the one thing I do hate about the dancer is that she is hard to hit because she moves so much. And she doesn't move like a couple feet here and a couple feet here. It's from one side of the room to the other side of the room, back to the other side of the room, back to the other side of the room, and it's very annoying trying to catch up with her. But yeah, so the dancer is my favorite. My least favorite is the Nameless King, and because there's two phases with this. So a few of the bosses in Dark Souls have phases within their boss fights. Most of them are 2 phases. One boss fight is 3 phases, and that's Frida, isn't it? Yeah, so Ken just nodded. So Frida has 3 phases in her boss fight, and you kind of like, when you fight the boss the very first time, you go, yes, I beat it, and then there's a second phase, and you have to do it all over again, and it's quite harder. So the dancer doesn't have 2 phases. She does? The dancer has 2 phases.
Yep, about halfway through her HP bars when she busts out the dark.
Oh, okay, so, yeah, so when I say phases, yeah. But unfortunately, I can't go into these phases, so just know that the boss fights have different phases, and sometimes they transform and sometimes they don't. So with that, you guys, I do have to end the video here. If you want to learn more about what I think about Dark Souls, then, well, comment below on any comments you have about my opinion on Dark Souls. Like this video and share with everyone you know. And you guys, I will see you next week. Maybe there will be a part 2 in the Dark Souls series. You'll never know until you'll find out. So with that, let me just give you my ending. Dare to create.